Bon dia, Jorge. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Fireside Chat. And this is Fireside Chat 136, where I'm in conversation with a member of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. And as is customary, I begin with a prayer for peace. Gomara Siakon na fud na crinne. Gomara Siakon in our jaili agus in our jirha. Gunari lin lena kuj garmaka. Gamwich buichas jiv. Jeha chuvdaga is spirit chuvdaga. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities, for peace. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. That those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb, that our swords be beaten unto plowshares, and no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the holy mountain, with thanks to John O'Donoghue. So let me see where people are from. Muddy, wet and muddy Crouch End. Hi, Philippa. Rainy London. Idaho, the USA, Lapland, Finland, where it's minus 22 degrees this night. Wow. The Netherlands, Belgium, Wyoming, Hertfordshire, upstate New York. Wow. Plattsburgh, New York. Where have we got? Montreal, North Carolina, Wilmington, Ardnamurchan in Scotland. I don't know what the weather is like there. From the oak woods of Ardnamurchan. Great. Penzance in West Cornwall. Just lovely to Stratford upon Avon. Just lovely to see you all. I'm trying to get through all the places. Maine, Ulster, Glastonbury, Utah, Swiss Mountains, hi Britta, Alberta, frosty Calgary, South Carolina, Manitoba, Canada, Bar Harbor, Maine, beautiful Sunning Hill, I don't know where that is, Edmonton, Canada, lots from Canada, Buffalo, Niagara, well, that's the American side. Hi, Franklin. Lovely to see you all, and soggy old Slough. That's great. Blessings from familiar, and and Timey, she's lower again. She's minus 26, and she's also in Finland. Wow. Oxford, Kitchener, Canada, Iowa. Brilliant. Papworth, Cams, I don't know where that is. Anyway, lovely to be here again. And this time we're going to the US, and let me introduce my guest to you, Jules Weaver, and she's in Wyoming. So Jules, you're so welcome to this Fireside Chat. So I've never been, so tell us what Wyoming is like.
I like to think of it as magnificently diversified.
Okay, go on. Tell us more.
We live on a little acre and a half of land, and just on our land, you can go 25 yards and end up in like a slough with cattails. Go 25 yards in the other direction and end up in cactus.
What's a slough?
Like just marshy kind of area with the cattails and stuff like that. There's a lot of artesian wells where I live.
Okay.
And you go up the hill where our house is, and there's a lot of really cool rocks. We find a lot of petrified wood and things of that nature. On the horizon, we have mountains halfway around, beautiful mountains. Then on the back half of that, we have the Badlands, which is...
Describe Badlands. We don't have anything like that in Ireland because it's a pure country. So I say that in jest. So tell us, just describe for people who have no idea what Badlands are.
You know, it's interesting. I wonder how it got to be termed as that. They're very dry, red dirt, a lot of clay and rock. Basically, there isn't much that grows except for sagebrush and cactus.
Okay.
Um, but beautiful to look at, the different colors and the different layers of red and pinkish color and ivory. It's really wonderful, actually.
Beautiful. And you meant this is the cottontails you mentioned. So tell us about those.
The cattails or the
Oh,
cottontails?
sorry, it's cattails you mentioned. You said the slew of, was it cattails?
Yes.
Okay.
They're, if you don't have those in Ireland, they're
We do not.
very, well, they can get up to about this high if I was standing. And they have like a brown velvety top to them with a point on the top. And then the rest has really long, elongated leaves.
Oh, they're
Um,
rushes. They're rushes.
you can eat them.
Ah, yeah, we call them bulrushes. So they have that. I get you now.
Oh, well,
They're
I
growing in
learned
a
something.
marsh. So it is a marsh, isn't it? So
Yes.
okay, so you have a stalk, and then you have the brown long head with a little.
Mhm.
Ah, yeah, we call those bulrushes, and you can eat them. So you call them cattails.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
The sagebrush can be quite magnificent. They can either be knee high, or if I go down hiking by the river, they can be as tall as I am, if not taller, several feet tall, which is amazing to me because you go from them being this tall to being huge.
Wow.
Up on the mountains, we have a lot of evergreens, juniper. Um, you don't really see too many deciduous trees. It's pretty much
Hmm.
conifers, so it's interesting that way. There's a lot of rock, a lot of wildlife. I do enjoy driving up by Yellowstone and watching the buffalo. That's one of my favorite things to do. You see bighorn sheep. Of course, you see the grizzlies, and we stay away from those. On my land, we have raccoons and fox and whatever just seems to be passing through. I leave a spot down at the bottom of the hill where we have Russian olive trees, which
Oh,
it may be of interest, have been declared a noxious weed. However, I keep them going on my land because they feed everything.
indeed.
They feed the starlings, they feed the deer, everything. So we let them go, but in that little area, we don't touch that area. That's where the deer hang out. So that's theirs. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Taimi, who's in Finland, says the Badlands received their name from indigenous people who consider them bad, dangerous because they were so dry. That's it, difficult, dangerous to cross if you don't have or find water for yourself and your horses. Okay.
Very good.
And Jamie Hume says, I love cattails. Yes, I call them bulrushes too. I loved to play with them as a child. The fluffs of bulrushes, milkweed, and dandelions are enchanting. Indeed, they are. Yes. And she says it sounds just similar to southern Alberta. Beautiful semi-arid landscapes are fascinating. Indeed, they are. Wonderful. Okay. So, how do you manage as a druid with that landscape? Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to hold that question because I want to know how you came, your background. Why are we here? How did we get this far to having a conversation? So, how did you get here?
Well, I'm going to blame that on my mother. We'll start
Okay. That's a good start.
there. Actually, my mother was a magnificent woman. She was ill as long as I could remember, but she had this gift for storytelling. She was what we call a seer, and she had a purpose for everything that she did. The colors that she surrounded herself in, numbers. She was really in tune with birds, I guess. I'm not really sure how to put that. She came from a diversified ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
We have Irish on the maternal side through quite a few different branches of the family, but there's also African Cree Indian from Canada, and English. My great grandfather came from England. And she used to take everything and kind of put it together, all the different things that she learned. She spent a lot of time with my great grandfather visiting with the Indians here. They attended Sundance before white people were allowed to do that. My mother was considered on the tribal roll. I am not.
What does that mean? Just explain for somebody who doesn't know.
She was an 8th Indian. I'm only a 16th, so I don't believe I'm eligible for that. But anyway, she, as I said, mixed a lot of different spiritualities together. I was taught about the elements because basically she said, even though I was born in a sign of water, I should have been born in August, and I was full of a lot of fire, and if I didn't knock it off, I was going to burn everything down around me. So thus began my education. She also had a funny way of looking at things as far as Christianity went. She believed in the teachings of Christ, but she did not believe in organized religion. She had some bad experiences. She was different. She knew when her father passed away. And in my grandmother's faith, that was seen as wrong and bad. And so, but she taught me to look at the teachings of Christ and the coming of the Christ child and combine that with other things. She taught me that, there are other spiritualities that have these children of light that come to save the world. And then she explained to me about how the Native American side and the Irish side intermeshed, so to speak, that a lot of the ideals were the same, and the basic thing was a love of the land. When my mother passed away, I felt lost. I couldn't find anything that suited me as far as spirituality went. I ended up marrying a wonderful man, and I joined the Catholic Church. And it didn't take me long to figure out that I really didn't fit in there. I tried to explain to the priest why I thought animals had souls, and also my theories on reincarnation. And this didn't go well. And wonderful man, Father Francis. I always remember him quite fondly. Anyway, the marriage did not last. And unfortunately, I felt like I was cut out of the church. Couldn't take communion because our marriage wasn't annulled. I couldn't afford it. It was a mess. And I just felt like, here I am out in the middle of nowhere. I don't belong anywhere. There's got to be something. And I was working at the library, and I found a book by Juliette Merlier. I think, was it Child of the Forest? But in the back,
Juliette Merlier, she's a member of the order.
Yes, and she stated in the back on the flyleaf that she was a member of the order. And I was like, huh. My mother had mentioned Druids before, that they were the people that you went to when you had problems. So I was like, okay. And at that time, also, my health was starting to just spiral, and no one had any idea how to do that. Then, of course, I did more research at the library. I found a book of Phillips. I think it was Druid Craft, Druid Magic. Oh, my mind.
Which one? There's so many. Yes.
Anyway, that started everything. And I thought, I wonder, is this where I truly belong? I found the website, checked that out, read through it, watched some videos on YouTube. And someone was talking about trying to fill a hole that can't be filled. And then someone else was talking about health issues and not being able to find an answer. So I took the chance, and here I am.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So now I'm going to ask you, you were talking about your cattails and all the trees and the cactus and all of that. How do you, in that landscape, when you look at the teachings and we talk about the trees in these lands where I'm from, how do you manage to work with trees, or how do you create your own community of trees, and how do you work with them as a druid?
Well, my husband and I have been planting trees, but the native trees that are already here, and they're not even native. The Russian olives appeared here about 20 years ago. Just there they were.
Not planted. They came wildly.
Yes, correct.
Wow. The birds or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how. Deer, who knows? To me, it's not really that much different. I think it's all about the landscape that you're in, the trees that you're around. Where my prayer circle is, there are no trees.
Okay.
But I am connected to the earth itself. That's where I draw strength from, I guess. And to me, you don't own the land. You're almost in servitude of it. Like I mentioned before, we leave the spot for the deer, for them to be. Everything has its place. And that's very important. I think I drug my husband along on that. He's very, very Christian. So our ideals are a little different, but we managed to make it work. I think the planting of the trees is a wonderful thing. We lost a few because of the drought. I did end up planting a European mountain ash up here on the hill, and she's a baby. And then we tried to plant native trees. Somebody had one that had grown up through a crack in their sidewalk and said, come get this thing. And it started out about this big. And it's now, I guess it's probably about 3 feet tall. So, and that's amazing to watch and to see. But I'm very connected to that rowan tree. I spend a lot of time there praying and just being with the tree, which sounds kind of odd, but I just like to be with the tree.
Not for us, it doesn't. No, just two things I want to say. But Stephanie says farmers planted Russian olive trees in the western US in the 1930s. Then the birds spread them everywhere like wildfire. Wow. That rowan tree, the mountain ash, that's a European variety, or is there a North American variety?
They told us it was a European mountain ash.
Now, European mountain ashes, they are the most resilient and the toughest of trees. Where I live, when I first came, it was just grass all around the house with 3 apple trees, and that was it. 2 tiny flower beds. And nothing survived. It was just we're on a hill, so it was almost like a hostile environment. And anyway, we allowed it to grow and develop. And there was one rowan tree, it was like a bush. And I didn't know much about rowan trees at the time. And it was windswept, and it is all twisted and turned and wrapped branches around each other. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And because of its adversity, it developed huge strength and resilience. And I remember that first summer. Oh, I was within the order at this point. It produced flowers for the first time, and then it produced berries. And the berries were there on the 16th of August for about 2 hours. And then the birds came and wiped it clean. And each year, it produces flowers and berries earlier. And then I planted, over the years, I discovered, rowan trees or trees of protection. And I have others in the garden that go straight up because that's the way they go. But this tree did what it had to do. And there's a special place in Sligo called Carr-Gomm. They're wonderful ancient passage tombs. But on a rock, there is this beautiful rowan tree. The trunk is about this length, and it's coming out of a wall, but it has a big canopy. So you kind of go, how do they survive? And you think, I don't know how old that tree is, but it's old. and it has survived coming out of a cleft in a rock and with a tiny trunk with a big canopy. As someone says, are rowan trees edible for humans? Well, I know you can make rowan berry jam. So I don't think they're particularly palatable if you eat them straight off. They're very bitter, but you can make a jelly from them. Yes, and John says they're so resilient. We have rowan trees growing out of rocks. They have a lot of superstition around them in Scotland. I know they're there for protection. John, I don't know what your superstitions are. That would be interested. And in the Netherlands, Aukje says the rowan is called a thrush tree. Yisterbis. Oh God, my Dutch. I don't have any. Wonderful. And then I know a druid or two have made prayer beads from dried rowan berries. I have beads from rowan berries too. Just a beautiful tree. Absolutely magical tree. I love them. So it's just lovely that you have that. And it obviously has found its place in your landscape and can do that.
Not only did it find its place in my landscape, it found its place in my heart. I was struggling
Yes.
so much then, and that tree gave me strength. As little as she is, she gave me strength.
And, you know, it's a tree that in Ireland is sacred to the Druids, known as the quicken tree. Like I say, it's a protective tree. And then, Pat, I agree with you, Pat. Rowan crosses at the front back door. If you make equi-sided crosses, get permission from the rowan tree and wrap them in red twine. I have them in my car and in my van. I've had them in gateways for protection. I'm not at all superstitious. I just love the protective quality of rowans. And it's that tree that connects the lower world to the upper world because it grows so high. You know, it grows at the tree line in Europe. And so it links the earth to the heavens. I just think that's wonderful. Yeah. And then Geraldine, I think Geraldine's in Canada. The Russian olive tree has a strong, lovely fragrance in the late spring, early summer here. Colorado. Yeah. And Anne Beer, who's in Canada, rowan berries are so wonderful for birds, even help them with their immune system. Brilliant. And then Francis, who's in Finland, we have a very international audience here. Rowans are linked with dragons and earth ley lines. According to lore, when stone circles were built and a suitable stone could not be found, a rowan tree was used as a substitute. Wow. Have you got references for that, Francis? That is absolutely fascinating. Wow.
That is fascinating. Speaking of ley lines, there's I've often wondered, I haven't mapped this out, but there to one side of me is a mountain where the Native Americans go to do their vision quests, and then you come from the river, and it's been that way for a very, very long time. And you can see where the river used to be here, but when they put the dam in back however many years it was, 100 or whatever, that rerouted all the water. But I've often wondered if there isn't some sort of a ley line that runs through here. But I like
get your rods out and find out. Do you divine with divining rods?
Dowsing, actually, my husband taught me.
But you can find the ley line.
I didn't
you
even.
You can actually dowse for it.
I'll have to try that. He does it. He works for the water treatment plant, and he douses for water all the time. He has quite the talent for it, and he taught me how to do it. I'm not adept at it like he is, but I'll have to try that.
Oh, great. Because yes, it's Francis says it's Jacqueline Memory Patterson's book, Tree Wisdom. I have it, actually. I'll have a look. This is about putting the rowan tree if there's not a suitable stone. Wow. But yeah, I mean, I have done courses in dowsing for ley lines. I mean, it's really interesting. You can go on your own land and just check them out.
Well, it was interesting how I got here because, long story short, we had to leave our house and we had to find a new place to go. We couldn't find a house that I didn't react to because I have a bizarre mold sensitivity. And we came here and there was an old trailer and a barn built out of pellets that was about 3 stories high. That was all leaning to one side, and I didn't have time to stack stones or do anything. I just remember sitting down and just praying because I had dreamt about a place like this that had a stream running through it. And that's what I wanted, was just some place with a stream running through. And I remember I sat down and I prayed and I thought, okay, let me know if this is the right place. And my husband came back up the hill and he said, this is it. So here we are.
So you built a house?
Yes. Well, we didn't build it. It was a modular, and they brought it in
Oh,
2 pieces and set it on a cement foundation.
oh, yeah, like Lego. Okay, I have some cottages in my garden like that. They're brilliant. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So are you do you have a Sikh group or a grove that you belong to where you are in Wyoming?
No, I do not. I am a solitary druid.
Okay. And so how do you practice your druidry then? How do you, as a solitary druid, it'd be very interesting for people to hear that. It's not about finding out how good a druid you are, it's how you are as a druid.
I'm a firm believer in daily rituals. That just gives me a foundation to start my day, and it helps me meet challenges, I think, because if I remind myself to respond with kindness,
Mhm.
that helps. Like I said, we plant trees, and it's just that kinship, I think, with the land. That's a huge part of who I am and what it means to be a druid in my mind.
Do you have a particular practice you'd like to share that you do?
I do our daily ritual within the order. I do like to, my neighbors think I'm a little whacked, but that's okay. I do make an offering of song, or I play a Navajo flute that I have,
Lovely.
um, because I don't really have that much physically to offer right now. So I give that instead.
Beautiful.
I do try to, I guess, help be kind to people in this little community here. And that's a big part of Druidry, I think, too.
Just something lovely. Lisa says, what am I talking about? No, this one is Anne. I feel we never really solitary because the relationship with the land is so strong. But I do daily ritual too. And I think it's really, really important. And then Lisa says kinship with the land, the support of nature and ecology. How to find our place in the world and how we connect with the spirit of place and the landscape. And I'm interested, you as, well, a white American with lots of color in there and, different, how do you find your place on land? And I don't know what the history of your landscape is. How do you connect with the spirit of place, the spirit of your place?
To me, this area, I tried leaving once and I started suffering from what I call geographic depression. I just couldn't leave.
Say that again.
I
You
call
tried
it
to, you were going to leave where you live and
Mhm.
you got geographical
Depression
depression.
is what I call it. I miss the mountains. I just, this land is, I've heard other people say it too. It's not just me, that it's magnetic. I am the 5th generation of my family to reside here and the 3rd to be born here.
Wow.
So to me, by following through with Druidry, I am literally walking in the footsteps of my ancestors. And because, it all goes back to what my mother taught me about different spiritualities and the ability to meld them together, to mesh them together. That's very, very important to me. No one here in my family did anything too magnificent, but they were strong people. And I like to think that they're proud of me.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you live in Cody, and do all your ancestors Cody, or was it generally in, I suppose, the general state of Wyoming, or are you talking about a specific location where you are now?
I'm outside of Cody, but that's our central base. My great grandmother settled in the canyon outside of Cody before it was here, her and her husband, and started a post office and a bed and breakfast. And if you saw this, oh my gosh, that woman had to be made of iron. There were hot springs there. She came here because of her arthritis and other reasons. She was Black Irish and Native American. So being from New York didn't really offer her the freedom that she had here, and she was educated and just the things that she did just amazed me. But it's like, one thing that I wondered is how in the world did she grow anything there? And she must have done it. But yeah, it's just something to look back on, I guess, their strength.
So she was Black, Irish, and Native American,
Mhm,
all three, from New York.
mhm.
And so where did the Black Irish come from?
That came from her father was a Dumas, and he was definitely Black. And he married an Irish innkeeper's daughter. And no, that would be her grandfather. Sorry, got lost there for a minute. Anyway, they had a son who was sent to Canada. Now she wasn't okay. Anyway, that would have been her father. The son that was sent to Canada would have been her father. Okay, he was Black Irish. Okay, then when he went to Canada, he fell in love with an Indian girl. And he wrote back to his father and said, I'm going to marry this woman. And they said, well, if you do, we're taking your name out of the family Bible. And they did. And he chose to have her instead. And thus started that branch of the family. But I just thought, what a love story. I mean, oh my gosh. But against the odds.
Ah, wow. It's that really touches me, the non-acceptance of the person that your child wants to marry because of the color of their skin, given that they've got color themselves. I mean, anyway, it's one of these mysteries, people. But it's a lovely story, and it's interesting. There's loads of comments about geographical depression. You've hit a nerve here. Philosophical says, I've had geographical depression since leaving the coastal redwood forest. Learning to cope in an environment I dislike has strengthened my inner practice beyond belief. The land always provides. There's somebody else, I can't remember her name. She's been feeling it since she moved from the US to England. It's just, and Alex says, my great-grandfather was shunned from the Amish for marrying a native woman. And then Gordon says, a most excellent family story. And I'm always fascinated with the richness and diversity and how you think, how did that woman survive? And then there's thermal springs. I think there's lots of response for our comments. Sorry if I can't respond to them all, but I think you've the hot springs, the healing properties. It's really, really fascinating how people survive. And then Nimi says they stayed true to their path. And I think, what courage and strength it takes to stay true to your path. And that's something that you've inherited, and that's just what's so beautiful, to be able to hold that as a legacy and to pass that on to the land, or if you have children or whatever, to pass that on. I think it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And I hope it will continue for many generations.
Yeah. And of course, telling the stories is really, really important. It's very, very rich. And Tommy says, non-acceptance can be found anywhere among all colors and religions, even throughout the same nationality. Well, indeed, of course, even within families. But it's lovely to say, well, I'm going to walk my path and I'm going to choose this person. And then, of course, when you choose somebody, you always hope it's the right choice. You never know, because not everybody has successful unions. But anyway, but that still, whatever it is, that you persist and go on. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
So you have lived with, challenging health. So what is it that helped you manage all of that?
Interestingly enough, I really can't say directly that Druidry saved my life, but it put me on the right path. The daily practices, being grounded with the earth. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to talk about exactly what we do, but that and engaging in healthy living and the time that I spent outside probably helped me survive until I found a diagnosis for Lyme disease. And then the doctor that I found, it doesn't just do American medicine. She's also works with naturopathic remedies, minerals, supplements. So it ran right in hand with Druidry. So yeah, Druidry put me on the right path. Really did.
Wow, that is just so beautiful. So beautiful. And it's lovely to hear that. And I mean, so many people say, will refer to or talk about how Druidry has sustained them deal with, all sorts of challenges, be it health, emotional, whatever, that it has carried them through. Yeah. So I know you're in, go on.
I was just going to say, mentioning emotional challenges, for a long time I started growing a hatred of doctors because the testing didn't work. Druidry taught me to see things from different perspectives and realize that the test let both of us down.
Say that again.
The testing let the doctor and myself down. It wasn't they were picking on me or any of that. It just helped me to see things from both sides rather than becoming bitter and resentful, which was huge.
Yeah. Wow. And how long did it take for you to let that resentment go? Or was there anything in particular that gave you that, aha, okay?
I would say our affirmation of peace. Just, I had to keep doing that and really think about what that really means.
Yeah.
Walk my talk, I guess. Yeah, that was an eye-opener and a little bit humbling.
Well, I think when you can walk your talk, when you can overcome the challenge of walking your talk, there's something hugely freeing, because then it's straightforward. Except you pay a price for it, but you also pay a price for not walking it. So you decide which price you're going to pay.
Exactly.
Because you have to live with yourself if you don't walk your talk. You might get away with it with somebody else, but you still have to live with yourself, and that's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
And Anne says, deep sympathy for the Lyme disease. I had it last year too. Such a strange illness, teaches us a lot. Yeah.
Indeed.
And then James says, when you find your true path that resonates through every part of your life, making you more whole in every sense. So that is lovely. And Sean, connection promotes health. And when connection is hard to come by at times, whether in society, family, or community, there is still nature to keep that flame burning. He also made a comment earlier, in response to your singing to the land. What is it? He said there's a saying that you sing once, you pray twice.
Exactly. That's well said. It's very well said.
Isn't it? Yeah. And Philosophical says, the Druid prayer for peace, I agree with you, is so potent, partly since it's so short and can be whispered in a hurry when needed. That has kept me sane and centered in otherwise frantic moments. But what I love about that peace prayer, because it starts with yourself
Yes, it
in the
does.
still center of your being, and then the quiet of the grove, and then then you go out. And I think everything starts with the self and that still center. And if we can start from there, I think then we can move out. So yes. So you are an artist,
Yes.
and so we're going to show we're going to show some of Jules's artwork in a minute. But where do you get your imas, your awen from?
That's interesting. I had a lot of neurological involvement because the Lyme went for so long. So I would do, some of them are art lessons that I changed. I had to basically relearn how to draw. I used to love to paint with oils. I cannot do that anymore. My health doesn't allow it. So my husband, bless him, very patiently started teaching me to draw again. And these pictures are kind of part of the journey and the progression. But the true inspiration, or the imbas, comes from my heart wanting to do for someone else. A couple of them are, one of them was a picture for a friend of mine. It just depends on what's going on in my life at the time, but it's my way of talking, uh, being able to get things out, emotions.
So when you're going to do a painting, are you walking out in your landscape, or are you reflecting, or just tuning into what you're feeling, and then you take up the brush or the pencil and hit the canvas?
Sometimes I tune into
Or
what I'm feeling, and sometimes there's an inspiration from the land. It just,
okay,
it varies from each picture, I guess. Or if I'm writing, a lot of times that is definitely the landscape talks to me. That didn't
lovely.
sound very well. The landscape talks to me. It does. I can't help it.
Of course it does. Of course it does. No, we understand that. That makes lots of sense. Yes. So will we start now? I don't know which I will we, because you didn't give them to me in any particular order. So will I just put them up?
Yeah, just put one up and I'll say what it's about, if that's okay.
Yep.
This was done with Photoshop and was quite the experiment. My husband just had heart surgery, and it was quite strange because we didn't know anything was wrong with his heart. And then they said they couldn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, they went ahead and did the surgery, and he survived, and he's doing very well. And this I started at Imbok because I just felt so blessed by Bridget, and I needed to do something to show that. And that's where this came from.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, we go on to the next one. This is a really interesting one.
That started out as an art lesson, and I have a love of violin music. Just, it does something to my spirit. Paganini, I could just listen to all day long, not a problem. The flower started out from a flame, and it was just the flame of creativity that I needed to start in my life, and but yet be protected at the same time. That's the blue, and be part of the land. She was supposed to be a fairy-like creature, and I changed her a little bit. I just wanted her to be a spirit of the land, so to speak.
It's beautiful. Do you play the violin?
No, I wish I did. My grandfather did, but I don't. I do
No.
not. No, all I do is sing.
It's interesting. When I saw this first, I didn't see the flower. I saw the flames, and I saw blue flames and red flames and yellow flames. And then it's just beautiful that it's a flower and that it's both. And I saw her as a fairy or a nature spirit. It's just beautiful. Absolutely. There's lots of comments Anne says, the flower, fire, violin, and spirit make a beautiful ensemble. You can almost hear the music.
Ah,
And Gabriella says, she definitely feels fairyish to me. So it's just beautiful.
very good.
So we're going to the next one. Wow.
The flower itself was an art lesson, and they had like a fairy creature coming out of the center, and I didn't like it, so I made my own creature. I sent this to a friend of mine who wrote about mold toxicity, and she was having a very hard time at that point. And I sent a copy to Charles DeLint's wife when she got sick. So these drawings are always being sent, and I hope that they help people to heal, to awaken, to grow again, and be healed.
You mentioned wool toxicity. Is that, did I hear you correctly?
Mold
Oh,
toxicity.
mold toxicity. Oh, sorry. Just explain a little bit about
that. From what I understand, your immune system becomes extremely challenged. For me, it was the Lyme disease that kicked it off. It can be Lyme disease or the bacteria that exists in fish caught during a red tide, and also the Epstein-Barr virus can trigger it. Your body quits ridding itself of toxins. I hope no one gets grossed out by this, but in your intestinal lining, there's a film that forms, biofilm, and it all gets stuck in there, and it literally starts poisoning you. So you end up with neurological conditions from, of course, the spirochetes from the Lyme crossing into your brain, but also just the toxicity of everything.
Wow. So you sent this to this man. So are you saying Charles DeLint as in Moonheart?
His wife, yes. She is now suffering from
okay.
Yeah, she's suffering from POSA1 virus, which is another tick-borne disease.
Wow. Interesting, because there's Lyme disease in Ireland now, but I got lots of tick bites as a child. There was no problem. It's just, I don't know. It's so sad that it's a concern of modern times where once it wasn't. And it's really, really sad. Just some comments. Sylvia says, art is magic, art is love, art is a warrior. Thank you for sharing your artwork with us. Blessed be. Gabriella said, there's something very special in the twirls of your lines. They are unusual and unexpected and soft waves. They could be water or flames or gas. Truly special.
Thank you, Gabriella.
And David says, isn't it lovely? Beautiful art, says David Jones. Love the messages of healing and love like the communication. Philosophical says, my daughter nearly died of Crohn's disease due to similar physiological events. Okay.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sean says, good author. He's talking about Charles DeLint. And good book. Urban fantasy that incorporates druidry. Beautiful.
Yes.
Taliesin. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. I love the colors in this one.
Thank you.
Oh, this is just amazing.
The Dancing Rowan Tree. I was listening to some music on YouTube, and this picture flashed through, and it was done, I believe, in Photoshop, of the Dancing Rowan Tree, and I'm sure very many people are familiar with that. And I started thinking at that time, I really wanted my rowan tree. And I thought, well, if I draw it, it will come.
Oh.
So I did, and my husband got the hint. He's like, okay, next year, I don't care what happens for your birthday, you're getting a rowan tree. But I set it in a Wyoming landscape. So
wow. So you painted her and she came. That's brilliant.
I don't know if that's exactly how it happened, but it works for me.
Yeah. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Ricky Gellison says, choreography for Ents. I love it. I love it.
Actually, I love to dance, and this was also a major milestone because for a long time I couldn't walk very well. I had to use canes and braces. And then the next thing I knew, the treatment started working and I was dancing. So
oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, that is just so lovely.
Thank you.
Manifesting with art. I love it. That's from Liz. Magic. Love the color play. It's really amazing. Rowan is a most hearty life tree. Just lovely. The tree does an arabesque, a ballerina tree. Beautiful. I love that one. Absolutely love it. It's magical. And we go on to the next one. And now,
This
is
was
this you post Lyme?
Yes, actually, I'm still not post Lyme. I'm still trying to get completely into remission. But this started out, the Phoenix itself was an art lesson, and I changed it. And it also coincides with a story that I wrote. But it's just the dawn, the new day. And emerging from just the fire and the chaos and the ashes and coming back to life again for a new day.
It's beautiful. It's such a powerful image and just full of hope and potential. And again, you know, it like reflects the resilience of your ancestors,
Oh,
you
thank
know,
you.
doesn't it? I mean, coming out of the ashes, and I mean, you're talking about a hot, semi-arid landscape with thermal springs. It's hot and just emerging, regardless of what adversity is there. And philosophical says, ooh, I really love this. No surprise there. Love how you captured the struggle and the triumph at once. Ferdy, it says, I love it. A mix of phoenix, griffin, and dragon in there. Lovely. Reaching and embracing the dawn, says Nimi. Love the eyes in her tail. Yes, it's just beautiful. A great new day picture. Brilliant. Yeah. Wonderful. Lisa says, very hot baths, saunas, sweats, minimal sugar. These really help with Lyme. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aukje, who's in the Netherlands. I love how you change the art lessons to your own liking. That's where I feel the Awen in your art. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And Jane says, this one speaks to me about the birth from embracing our spiritual path. Yeah. So you're getting lots of responses here. Sylvia, I love the dancing rowan tree art. She makes magic with her spirit, wind and sunshine, and gives birth to her seed, sprout, bud, leaf, flower, and fruit.
Oh,
The pictures have a mystical healing energy about them.
thank you.
And Geraldine says, expressive and jumping out at me. I can touch it. Wow.
How wonderful.
These pictures speak for themselves, don't they? There's a lovely one too. I love the colors in this one.
Sorry, this one makes me a little emotional.
Okay.
This is the dragon of found hope. He
Lovely.
was also a drawing lesson out of the book, How to Draw Your Dragon. A friend of mine, she did a 16-year-long battle with cancer. We've been friends for 32 years. And I had a habit of drawing her dragons. I was born in the year of the dragon, and she was too. So, but at some point, it was like everyone forgot her because of the chemo, and they just became indifferent because of the way her mind worked. And I drew this for her to bring her hope and to have her always remember that even though I wasn't next to her, I was always by her side. And she died on March 22nd of last year.
Oh, but what a gift to her to have had until she did pass. Nimi says, oh, rainbow butterfly dragon is so powerful. And Ricky, who is a rainbow person, you can never have too many rainbows.
Exactly.
And actually, somebody says, do you have cards of your awesome artwork?
No.
Maybe that's a question you could consider.
Yes.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Who knows where this project will lead? You know, and when I looked at this picture first, I said, oh, I see a dragon first. I see a butterfly. And then looking at, you know, silk waving, it's a really, really powerful, and the title, you know, Dragon of Found Hope. And then philosophical, that is profound and lovely. What a tribute to a loved friend. And then so many people, I'm so sorry to hear about your friend. Glad we all got to meet her now. Thank you for being there for her. We also have lost dears, blessings surrounding. So, and what about an oracle of hope? Okay, anyway, there's some ideas that you can, that's an amazing tribute. Very sorry you lost your friend. She left to soar with the dragons.
She soared. She was worse adrenaline junkie than I was. She liked jumping out of airplanes. I never did, but
Wow.
she was a free
That's
spirit.
wonderful. Ferdy, it says, sorry to hear about your friend. You've definitely honored her with life and your friendship.
Thank you.
You know, isn't that the best we can give anybody?
It is.
It's beautiful, beautiful. And the colors are amazing. Yeah. So I'll just go on to the next one. And this is mysterious. This is so different, but very mysterious.
It's kind of cloudy, but there's a lot behind this. This one is all original. At that point in time, due to the encephalitis or whatever was happening to me, I literally was afraid to leave my own house.
Mm.
It was pretty crazy. Eventually, with my husband's help, he pulled me out the door the first time. I don't recommend doing that, but he had to get me out. I learned to walk away from the house and know that I was going to be okay. And it was like I had this imaginary perimeter around the property and I couldn't leave. And the cat down at the bottom, can't see it very well.
People have noticed the cat.
Yeah, that's Carr-Gomm, my cat. She also passed away not too long ago, so I'm glad that I have this picture. And the raven, I have a thing for ravens. I don't know if you can see the raven on the shoulder. I don't know why that one came out so blurry. But yeah, I have a kinship with them. And a lot of people say, well, that's just weird and dark. And no.
Oh, weird is good.
Really quite fascinating.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it was kind of a movement picture just to get on with my life and keep moving.
Well, Philosophical says, lovely gothic dark goddess vibes. These shades of purple are just gorgeous. Jamie says, your husband sounds like an interesting fellow, very determined.
Oh, he's definitely determined.
Beautiful. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I think we have another one. Oh, no, we're done. Oh, no, we do. Hold on a second. Now, this one.
This isn't original. This was inspired by Terry Pratchett and the landscape. There are legends of little people that live here. I've never seen one. But
okay.
I swear I can feel them around. And I think it was the Wee Freeman that he wrote. And I thought, well, if these little people here, which they always portray as being male, had a queen, what would she look like? So that's how she came about. And she's not smiling because she has very long teeth. And she's a little self-conscious about that, so she doesn't smile very much. But that's where she came from. And the rock that she's sitting on is I forgot the name of it. It's a crystal that we found when they broke the ground for the foundation for the house. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But the idea of growing my antlers again, I put that in there too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Absolutely. So, so powerful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ravens are beautifully intelligent birds. If you're weird, we're both weird about ravens. Beautiful. Let your freak flag fly, someone said.
Yes.
Just stepping through the gateway, you, Corrigan, will lead and guard and guide. Ravens are magical. Who wouldn't like them? Exactly. Long in the tooth. Love that. Ancient land spirit. Beautiful. So that's all of those. So they're just beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. So we're coming to the end of our time. But before we do, a concern you have for the modern world.
I would say that it is our kindness for each other. If we focused more on that, I believe that a lot of anger would dissipate. We should not put people into categories, whether spiritually or racially, or how someone identifies as gender. We all bleed red, and I would like it if people would remember that.
So I think you gave me the answer to my next question with the same as with your concern. But your dragon found hope. Where do you think hope can be found?
Acts of kindness. Hope can be found in acts of kindness, in ritual, and the turning of the wheel of the seasons, in our love for each other and our understanding. Without that, well, I'm sure you can guess the rest.
Yes. So my two final questions. What is your favorite season of the year? And what is your favorite festival, in the wheel of the year?
My favorite season of the year is winter. My father was half Sami. My husband thinks I'm part Eskimo because I love being outside in the winter. My favorite festival, each one of them is so important to me that I can't really say a favorite. Going through the health challenges that I did, I need each one of these. I don't really have a favorite. They all hinge upon each other.
Okay.
So Gabriella.
Well, Gabriella,
Yeah.
no, she got Samhain and she got spring. So she had upped her success rate, I think, the last chat, but she's gone down again. Anyway, keep trying, Gabriella. Just don't bet too much on it. Listen, it's been such a joy talking to you, Jules, and there's been lovely responses, to our talk. Britta says, you're so brave and wise. Much admiration for never giving up. Wishing you strength and gentleness and blessings. And Anne says, it's been a privilege to learn and about your spiritual and creative path, Jules. So you've so much. Thank you so much. And thank you too. Okay, that's Eimear. Never mind. Thank you for the encouragement. Oh, it's Gabrielle. I think that's from me. So agree, Jules. If we can simply be kind and embrace our differences, celebrate the original beauty instead of just expressing fear of the new unexplored. Absolutely. So I'll allow you say goodbye to everybody, and then we can talk and look at the comments.
Thank you, everyone, and many blessings to you all.
Okay, so I'll see you in a tick. So thank you all so much. Yes, she is a special soul, Gabriella. Just lovely to have you all here. And I look forward to seeing you next week for another Fireside Chat. Be well. Wishing you all the best for the rest of your evening, the afternoon or the morning, or if you're watching a recording of this chat. So thank you all for your wonderful comments. And I know some of them, I just don't get to read all of them online. So, but I really, really appreciate them because you really too contribute to our conversations. So until we meet again, be well. Biggie Sloan, agus Slán go fóill.